Hi, my name is Sean Gerber, and I am with Reduce Cyber Risk, and I'm putting out some training around the CISSP, and that's the Certified Information Systems Security Professional Training. And this is a course that's going to be put together and that you will be able to take, and it's got all the stuff that you need to be able to understand what you need to take the CISSP exam. And we're going to go into some fine details around that, but to start off, I'm just going to kind of go over an introduction about myself and what you can expect for this course. So this is kind of the objectives, an introduction, the purpose, and as far as ISC Squared and their community and their consortium, and then we'll kind of go over some highlights as it relates to the CISSP exam. Okay, well, we'll start off with a little bit about myself. My name is Sean Gerber. Yes, that's S-H-O-N. It is phonetic, and I don't really like it. My friends call me Enrique or Amani, something like that. Sean is not my biggest fan, but hey, it works. It's only 4 letters, and it's pretty easy to pronounce. But bottom line is I am not a computer cybersecurity person from the beginning. My background is not in that space at all. I started off as a commercial airline pilot. I went to school to be a pilot. I went to the University of North Dakota, where it's really, really cold, and learned how to fly airplanes. And the whole purpose of that was that I could be an airline pilot. Well, needless to say, I'm not one right now. So as everybody says about careers, they do change, and mine changed as well. I was in the military for about 24 years, and doing from everything from being a recruiter to working on avionics, eventually flying military aircraft, and then finally ended up being as a commander for a group of hackers. So I flew the B-1 bomber. It's an awesome airplane, goes really fast, and it rocks. It's incredible. 500 feet off the ground, going about 1.99 Mach. It was awesome. But things changed. And so with that change, I had to go and do something different. I ended up being the squadron commander of a squadron in the United States Air Force, or in the Air National Guard, of a red team. And this red team did physical and network aggressors against military installations and Department of Defense installations globally, worldwide. Did that for about 10 years and loved every minute of it. It was an incredible experience, and I couldn't ask for anything better. There's nothing better than when you are hacking into a military installation, legally I say, and then also as you get all the things you need to physically manipulate your way into the same environment. It was incredible. Could not ask for a better career, but did that for about 10, 11 years. I also am a CISSP, so it's from not just teaching it or saying that I know it. I've actually taken the course, and it is a booger. It's not a lot of fun. It is a painful course, no doubt about it. But with the training you'll get through, with what I provide here with Reduce Cyber Risk and our CISSP training, you're going to be given a really good head start on what you need to know to pass the CISSP exam. But I've been one since 2009, and that test has changed a lot since when I took it. But again, so right now I've been a CISSP for about 10 years. So I've got 18 years of information security, cybersecurity experience, and that's all started off in about 2001 is when we migrated from flying military aircraft to doing cybersecurity. I am currently a Chief Information Security Officer with a large multinational, and I've been doing that now for about 3 years as the CISO. My background, though, is I did the traditional path, or there really wasn't a traditional path. But I started off leaving the military in 2011, and then I became a security architect and eventually a senior security architect with a very large multinational. From there, I migrated within a couple years to be leading our security operations center, and then leading and you'll get into what a security operations center is if you're not familiar with, but it's basically the heart of all network security mechanisms go into the security operations center. So I managed that for a couple years. And then I moved on to be the Chief Information Security Officer, which is in the role that I'm currently in right now. So I've been able, from a standpoint of cybersecurity, I've been blessed in the fact that I have seen it from how to begin, and I'm starting off with nothing. So I don't have a college degree in cybersecurity or even in computer science by any stretch. It's basically something that's been all self-taught, and I've been very blessed to be in the right places at the right times and making the right choices. As far as from a certification standpoint, I've got my CISSP. I also have the Law of Data Security and Investigations, which I highly recommend. It's from SANS. They put it out there. It's really good, especially in this world as a security person. We deal a lot with compliance and legal. And so therefore, I'd highly recommend that you do look at this as far as adding to your repertoire of trainings around there. And again, it's the GLEG, but it's the Law of Data Security and Investigations. Also a CISSP, and been doing that now since 2009. Got some other certifications, Security Plus, Networks Plus, and so forth, but those are the main ones that I've been able to accomplish. Okay, the purpose of these videos is to provide you the information you need for the Certified Information Systems Security Professional exam. And I based this off of the ISC Squared's training manual that was set up for April of 2018. So what I did was I took the training manual, used it as a template from the objective standpoint to understand how to best teach you and train on the content that you'll see within the ISC Squared training manual and what you'll see on the test. And I added that together and just basically used those as a primer, right? And then from there, I added context based on my years of experience and my knowledge around the CISSP and as all these different roles that I've taken from a security architect to a CISO as I am at currently right now, and having the background as a hacker. So all of those pieces have kind of come together to provide you the best level of training I can for the CISSP. So again, that's the whole purpose around it, was to give you that. And it's more than just a training around just taking the CISSP exam, because you can take a lot of questions, study a lot of questions, and at the end of the day, I did it, right? And I went through massive amounts of questions just to understand what they were getting at. But bottom line is that you also need to understand some of the context behind it, some of the information behind it as well. And so I will cover each objective that's in the ISC Squared manual. Now, in some cases, I may cover that objective multiple times because it's in multiple domains. But at the end of the day, you're going to get every objective will be covered through this training. Now, got to throw out the disclaimer, because guess what? One, I'm not a lawyer, so therefore do not listen to me on legal advice. If you do, bad idea on you. It's your choice, but don't do it. Second thing is it comes down to is this is not a guarantee that you will pass. Okay, I took it the first time by myself. I just self-studied and I failed it. And now I took it the second time and I was able to pass it the second time around. The CISSP is typically known that it's hard to pass, right, the first time around. Now, if you really want to get a really good handle on the fact that, I'm just going to be honest, if you really want to spend $7,000 or $8,000 and go to a 1 week long boot camp, I highly recommend it. You will get probably the more information than you need to be able to pass the test, and they'll spoon feed you to a point where you probably have a much higher chance of passing the test. However, I'm putting this course together because most people can't afford to take a week off of work and spend $7,000 or $8,000. This information is going to be there for you. Not all of the content that I provide, though, will cover every aspect of the CISSP. I'm going to cover the objectives, and each objective will be covered in depth and in detail. However, because the CISSP is, we kind of say it's a mile wide and an inch deep, because it is so wide and so broad, there's absolutely no way that I can physically put a full course together without taking up 7 or 8 days of constant training to provide you the level that you would need to have that. And the course would end up costing $5,000 or $6,000. So therefore, this is going to give you a great primer to begin to understand what you need to do to pass the test. And if you understand the concepts, because really what it comes down to is taking the test and understanding what is the question they're asking you and how to deal with that specific question. Okay. I also recommend, like I just even shot up there initially, invest in other training materials. Question banks will help you to understand how to take the test from a question standpoint. The biggest thing that got me was I didn't know how to take a test from ISC Squared on what were they asking for. I also didn't have the background that I have now. So therefore, it was really kind of hard. You're kind of guessing in some respects about what are they actually asking for. Well, with this course, I'm going to provide you that level of background that a security officer would want or a security manager would understand with years of experience of doing it. So but I also recommend, though, getting other training materials. It's just important for you to gain your knowledge and grow as a security person within this space. Now, how do you study? What do you do? Okay, here's the $1 million question. You need to read online materials, and I recommend getting into blogs, white papers, posts that are out there. All of those will give you a good sample of understanding the vernacular, the conversations about what is security. Because I'll just be honest, I've got like a third grade education, not really, but sort of. I feel like it most days. And so therefore what happens is these complex terms and terminology just messes me up. I don't understand what they're saying. Well, but the more I learn around that vernacular, the more I understand what people are talking, I'm able to understand their language. Hence, the more blogs, white papers, podcasts, whatever it might be that you listen to will help you have a better understanding of how to best protect your network and how to pass the CISSP. Also look at sample study questions. Those are important. The testing is very different than it was when I took the test. I would say it's probably even harder in some respects. But you need to understand what questions are they asking and why are they asking those questions. Talked about podcasts already, but podcasts and webinars are a good source of information. Most of them are free. They're just trying to get information out. I put out a podcast for Reduce Cyber Risk, and that deals with training materials along with security news and issues. There's Security Now. There's other places out there, but I'd highly recommend that you expand your knowledge to include the cloud, AWS and Azure. Very good points around that. Understand the podcasts that are produced by those. Also visit with industry leaders and mentors. You need to find somebody that can help you. Having the background is important, but also having someone you can bounce ideas off of. Because the other thing is, if a security person tells you they know everything, then run away as fast as you can, because there's no way that they know everything. And so therefore it's important, no matter how many years you have in experience, to get around other leaders to understand what's best to protect your network and your environment. And then also, like I said, watching and listening to this course. The course is going to be provided in video, but I also will have it in audio versions as well. So you can download it, use it as you need to see fit. But bottom line is that's the purpose, is to provide you with the tools you need to be successful in your security business, whether it's as a professional working for a job or even as a consultant. So what is the ISC Consortium? Okay, well, this is what comes up with the CISSP exam. And what their mission is to maintain the common body of knowledge, the CBK, around the CISSP, along with other areas around security. They provide a certification for information security folk, like myself, and they conduct certification training and conduct exams. They're the ones that provide all of that information for you. They also provide continuing education. As in, if you get your CISSP, you're going to have to maintain some level of continuing education and some level of accreditation. And I recommend that you do podcasts, you can do papers, you can even do trainings like this that you can count towards your continuing education. But all of those things you're going to have to maintain. The CISSP is probably one of the more premier certifications. Now, there's more and more of them that are coming out, but it is one of the primary, and it's the big daddy dog as far as when it comes to security professionals, and it's a kind of a requirement, especially depending on the role you have within your organization. They have various other certifications that are supported, the CSSCP and so forth. They have the Certified Ethical Hacker as well. So there's many different certifications that the ISC Squared does support, but the one that we're going to focus on, obviously, is the CISSP. Now, all the domains, there's 8 total domains, and they've made some changes. They typically don't make changes for more than a couple years, is usually the length. And some of them have gone longer than that, but it's usually not like every 6 months that you would see a change. So the last change occurred a couple years back, and this most recent change happened in April of 2018, which is actually, at the time of this recording, is almost a year from the time that it came out. But there's 8 primary domains. It's security and risk management, asset security, security architecture and engineering, communication and network security, identity and access management, security testing and assessments, security operations, and software development security. Now, out of all of those things, as a security professional, I have touched every one of them in some form, shape, or another. In some of those, I am a little bit deeper than an inch. Some of those may be about 2 inches deep, maybe 3. But in other areas, I may be an inch. That's pretty much where I'm at. But that's what's so great about the CISSP and understanding this, is that you don't have to be the expert in all of this. And realistically, if you are and you say you are, then like we said before, it's probably not the case. The key is to know who are the right people to get in contact with. You are also to be a thought leader and someone that can provide guidance and direction for senior management as you move up through the ranks and you understand how security works. The cool part about all this is that there's no real structure on how to go about this. We have a plan. There's a plan that I'm going to put forward through the CISSP on what you should do and how you should get to the next level. But at the end of the day, there really isn't anything that is super secret about all this. Right now, I believe in 2022, 2021, somewhere right around there, there's supposed to be about 2 million cybersecurity jobs that are going to be open that have gone unfilled. So being in the cybersecurity space is actually it's a good time to be doing that. Whether the economy is doing well or not, it's a good time to be in this space. And things are only changing and getting more complicated, which actually makes job security a little bit better. So some of the pre-qualifications around what you have to do is you have to be a practicing security professional. So you got to be doing this for a living. And you have to have at least 5 years of full-time paid work experience. So that there's a couple caveats to this, but bottom line is you got to be someone that's doing cybersecurity. You can't just be sitting at home playing Xbox and go, yeah, I'm doing cybersecurity. No, you've got to have it. Now, I say that if you are a data administrator for maybe a small bank or whatever it might be, and you're the jack of all trades, the person who does everything, well, security is a piece of what you do. So therefore, it's a great way you can call that as part of what you do. It's part of your practicing security professional. But they talk about having a salary or commission within the last two of the 8 domains you need to be making money from. So the point is that let's just say you're an identity and access management person, and that's all you do. Well, then that wouldn't qualify you. You'd have to get some other domains in place to be able to understand that, whether it's testing and assessments, whatever that might be, maybe software development. You have to have at least 2 of the 8 domains. However, if you have some level of understanding around networks or let's just say, for example, your whole purpose is to do identity and access management. Well, what you can do is you then work hard to find a way that you can be doing data security for maybe your intellectual property, whatever it is, but look for ways that you can expand your horizons, and that will then help you with your domains. Also, there's an or in this. You need to have 4 years, and I like this or because in the past it didn't really have this when I first started. 4 years experience in a recent IT or information security degree, okay? An associate's, and this is they call their associate's program. And it allows you to take the test early, so you don't have to have the 5 years, but you have 6 years. They give you an extra year to complete the 5-year requirement. So if you just started, you're like, I really want to do this. I'm going to take the test early, and then I'm going to get my 5 years to do it. Now, okay, I like the idea. There is some potentially negative incentives around this, right? In the fact that I just have now more opportunities for more people to get the CISSP. There are some requirements in the DoD have required people to get their CISSP, so it's kind of a Band-Aid approach. However, I say that tongue-in-cheek in the fact that it's one of those things that it's really important to be able to have this capability, and therefore the experience you get will be very, very useful. And so if you take it, you learn from it, you grow from it, I think it's going to be really, really good. You also have to have an endorsement from a CISSP before you can even move on to the next aspect of it. So all those things have to be in place for this to work. Now here's some of the highlights, the exam highlights. Now this is a 30,000-foot view. It's basically, like I said, it's a mile high, a mile wide, and an inch deep. And it is a bugger to take. There's no question, no lying, no sugarcoating it. It is not fun at all. It uses a computerized adaptive testing, and it basically gives you your questions based on how you answer. So if you're like me and you're not real smart, you will fail it very quickly, and you will move on to the next, and you'll drop your $1,500, and then you'll come back and take it again. Now, if you're super smart, it'll go, well, hey, you're a rock star, and you'll be done in no time. But it does based on how you answer. So it also focuses on domains where you may be weak. It'll add more to it. And basically being done early if you demonstrate you don't know the material, which kind of comes down to the fact if you don't understand it, it will take your money and you'll be done with the exam. So it's about 100 to 150 questions, and they're all set up in multiple choice, and it doesn't have a published test score. You don't know what your score is at the end. You either pass or you fail. So Caesar either lives or Caesar dies, one of the two. And then they just say, come back for more money when you're done. So yeah, that's an unfortunate part. It was $450 when I took it because I'm just really, really old. And now it's like up to $1,200, $1,400, depends on where you go. So it's not a cheap endeavor. Now, testing frequency. Okay, so you get a maximum of 3 times in 12 months that you can take this test. So if you're like me and you have to fail it a couple times, well, they kind of limit you. 1, they don't want you to keep coming back. 2, you're going to spend a lot of cash, so you might want to think about it twice. But basically, you have a maximum of 3 times in 12 months that you can take the test. You have to wait 30 days after your first failure. So if your first failure is on January 1st, you can't take your second test until basically 30 days from January 1st. So that would be right around February 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there. So that would be your 30 days. Then you have to wait another 90 days on your second attempt and 180 days on your third attempt. So in reality, they're pushing this baby way out, and it takes a whole year if you have to go through it 3 times. And if you've gone through it 3 times, you might want to consider going to a boot camp where they can help you get a little bit better at it. Just saying. Now, the CISSP exam weights, they're set up around this. So if you look at each of the domains, and we've got them all kind of listed there on the screen, but each of them are pretty well set up the same. So your security and risk management's 15%, asset security is 10%, architecture and engineering is 13%, communication and network security is 14%, identity and access management is 13%. I'm saying this for the people that are listening to it. So if you're seeing this and you're asking yourself, why is he reading all this off? Well, it's because there's people listening to this versus just watching it on the screen. Security assessment and testing is 12%. Security operations is 13%. And software development is 10%. So from 10 to 15% is where it ranges. And so again, it's pretty evenly dispersed amongst all the different domains. Now, your testing questions and exam tips. Here's some key things to think about with that. There are multiple choice, okay? So it's usually about 4 questions, and it's usually A, B, C, D kind of thing, right? Some are very, very straightforward, and it may be like going, duh, this is easy. Check, 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 move through it, right? Others will not be so easy. Some will be very involved, and they may be the best practices. They might be appropriate concepts. It could be pick the one that is the least correct, or so it's that wordsmithage that my 3rd grade education just struggles with. So you may have to deal with that. So my recommendation around this is you go through this as fast as you can on the areas that you know you can. You go, yep, I know that one. I know that one. Well, I don't know that question, so move on. I know that one. I know that one. Then move on. Anything that you don't know, move on past it. The reason I say that is then it's an easier way to come back, and you can usually narrow down the questions. Let's just say it's 4 questions, so that there would be 2 of them that are really close to being the most correct answer, and then there's 2 that are probably just way out in the ballpark. They don't even make any sense. So you'd come back on the first time around, you answer all the ones you know. Second time around, you come back and then you look at it and go, okay, well, of these 4 questions, 2 I can throw out. The other 2, I can narrow it down to which one is it. And if the worst comes to worst, you guess. Odds are high that you, at that point, if you've narrowed it down, you probably got a 50-50 shot. But because I don't do math in public, it's probably more like about 39.2%. I don't know. But bottom line is that's how you should go. Roll it through it as fast as you can, do the best you can with it, but it will consume time. So do not spend too much time on these questions or you will run out of time. The other thing is just be prepared. Be prepared for all the questions they're going to ask. Take tests over and over again. Go through training materials like this, and it'll best prepare you for the test. Okay, here's some of the references I got from helping you out with this. Is the ISC Squared Training Study Guide, April 2018. You can get that at isscsquared.org. All right, let's move on to the next section.